Have you ever, correctly, had a gut feeling to dislike someone who, on the surface, was a cool person that everybody else liked? What's that story? City council hired another medic. Older dude with long hair, not that that matters. He was new to the scene, recently completing the course. Guy why awesome to hang out with. Went to the bar with the younger EMTs, played video games, etc. At first I thought he was cool, but as I observed his work, I was his superior and did his probationary eval, I noticed something was off. At the private council meeting I spoke openly about this in his 30-day review. I stated something was off. He didn't seem like a people person and generally the type that would do this job. They said that I had no grounds to state that he wasn't suited and that he did his job as described. I countered with the fact that when caring for people, being a people person is an unwritten rule, and that doing your job without caring leads to mistakes, and in our job field a mistake means death. They weren't having it, so I finally said, look, in this job field you need to learn to read people, and in telling you that something isn't right here. City council told me that basically I was jealous because he got along with the EMTs. Honestly, I could care less, I'm not in this job for them. Fast forward a month and I get a call from an ER about an hour from us. They said that their report said the patient was administered 80 milligrams of drug X. The patient denied receiving it, and since they couldn't figure out WTF the medic would have even given it, they ran a tox panel on him which showed that he did not receive it. The doc told me normally he'd let it slide as an error and ask me to speak to him about accuracy, but he felt something was off. I thanked him and after hanging up pulled the trip sheets. Right in the run report it has the drug, the amount given, and the time. I pulled up the narcotics log. It showed drug given and replenished along with the tag numbers. Next I called a friend of mine who is a local cop and was off duty at the time. He came over and I opened the other medic's narc box. Sure enough, it had been opened and replaced. We then went through his logs for the past 2 months he had been working and located at least 12 times drugs had been given when probably not needed. I called the ER doc back and explained to him, and his exact quote, here's my personal phone number and our lawyer's number. I'll fax you over a written statement along with the test results. I'll see if we have anything on other patients he brought in. My buddy then called dispatch to tell the council members there was an emergency at the station and they need to come in. When they got there we showed them all the evidence and what we suspected. Within 15 minutes we not only had the DA approval but also a judge sign an arrest warrant. Turns out the dude admitted to having a 20-year painkiller addiction that he ran out of sources, so he figured being a medic would give him easy access. He even told the judge he was worried that he would have killed someone just for the meds. At the trial I was asked for what resolution I wanted. I told the judge being a paramedic I've seen how drugs change a person and that I don't hold him fully responsible. On my recommendation he got 3 months in a locked drug rehab facility followed by 6 months of house arrest. 4 years later the dude is clean and runs a fundraiser to help raise money for the end to provide anonymous Narcan services and drug awareness programs. Today this guy would be an honored member of my crew. Addiction literally changes people. The end result is I now am solely responsible for hiring the medics, reviewing, and dismissal. I no longer need to justify to council why someone was dismissed. This job is one where a gut feeling decides someone's fate. Loved this one. Favorite so far. Thanks for what you do for society. I'm not going to lie. I only started doing it because of the people I loved. I serve a small area, around 12,000 people, and my ego said that I'd feel better with me caring for them than someone else. Turned out I love my job and I hate it. I get a rush off the enormous emotional swings involved. But at the end of the day, when I know I did the best I could possibly do, I can honestly say I am proud of myself. I couldn't get that in the factor jobs here. The key is to never stop questioning yourself. I'm not saying doubt yourself, but double checking yourself. If you up, own up. Learn from your mistakes. Sometimes our gut instincts are only sort of right. When I was in 7th grade, there was this girl who was really quiet and sort of creepy. And she smelled. Like literally dot. She wore these odd dresses that looked like pioneer dresses, homemade. And she was just, well, creepy. No one talked to her. People tried to avoid sitting next to her. We all gossiped about her as being the epitome of creepiness. Then one day she was gone. Didn't come to class. The next day, it was all over the news. The police had arrested these horrifically abusive parents, who were neglecting and abusing their daughter, and who had kept their younger son locked in a cage his entire life. And never fed him. The younger boy was kept alive by, you guessed it, his older sister. The police were led to the house by neighbors' complaints about the stench. So this poor, smelly girl was suffering abuse from her parents, and all the while sneaking food and water to her little brother, who was literally locked in a cage for years upon years, keeping him alive, and then coming to school, where she would be avoided and mocked behind her back and sometimes humiliated. She was a weirdo, and our guts all told us there was something wrong there. But she was a hero. Never heard what happened to her after the parents were arrested. Hope she recovered. This reminds me of a girl who was in my sister's Girl Scout troop for a period of time in the late 90s. She was very nice, seemed like a normal girl, but obviously lived in some sort of weird situation. She always smelled horribly, either of urine, or very bad BO. Her mother smelled also and didn't seem to have many teeth. I don't know much beyond that. We stopped by her house one time to pick her up for an event, and the house smelled terrible, but looked rather normal from the outside. The sleeping bag she brought to Girl Scout camp with her smelled of dog urine and feces. There wasn't any reason to alert authorities about her situation though. She didn't seem to be abused or neglected in any way, so I don't remember the Girl Scout troop leaders doing anything about her situation. As an adult, I'm very curious what the hell was going on there. Interviewing a guy for a job. Something doesn't feel right, but my interviewing partner really seemed to like him. We get to his portfolio of work and I see my side project that I worked on alone as one of his websites. So I start asking him questions about it. What challenges he had, how the client was, etc. I let him go on and on, then I say, I have to level with you. This is my work. You are showing me my own work. Look at the source near the footer. It has my website in the comments. He went ghost white and I just sat there. After that I coached him a little on how not to suck and he left. We called the contract agency that sent him and let them know. Oh my god, that's amazing. What a total tool. You were super nice to him, man. That would burn me up so bad it'd be hard for me to even finish the interview. My older mother got this boyfriend. Mom was in her 60s and the boyfriend was probably mid-60s also. One day she brought him over to my house, where I was a single mom to a 3-year-old boy. I'm usually friendly, or at the least polite, but I looked at that guy and said, "No, don't come in my house." My mom was shocked. She said, "Wang_dip thong, this is blah blah, my boyfriend." I told her I was sorry. I shut the door. About 6 months later he went to jail for boys. My sister's first husband. I was 5 when they got married, and I only actually met him a few times in person because they lived on the other side of the country. My family really loved him. He was charming, athletic, smart, handsome, financially secure, and seemed like a great dad when they had kids. Plus, he was never anything but nice to me. But I always sensed something shady about the guy. When I was in the 5th grade, I remember getting in huge trouble for a class assignment, an essay describing our families, in which I described him as a bad person pretty much word for word. There's something I just don't like about him. It was one of the only times I got spanked as a child. Well, fast forward a couple years, and my parents discovered that he'd been abusive to my sister and the kids almost the whole time. They ended up divorcing, and he has proven to be a complete sociopath ever since. He hadn't paid a dime in child support, despite being well off enough to buy a new luxury sports car every few years, and uses their 2 kids, who are now teenagers who know he's full of, to play mind games with my sister, bringing her to court for full custody, knowing he won't win due to his past, just to cause her inconvenience and rack up legal fees for her, just as an example. He also has refused to let the kids fly out to visit our side of the family a few times for no reason whatsoever. He's a narcissist, a complete sociopath, and somehow 10-year-old me was able to sense it before anyone else in my family.